Good morning, people. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is July, I think it's the 15th, 2020, and the time is 8:16 in the morning. Yeah, I think it's Tuesday. Not sure. My sense of time and everything is kind of out of whack at times. Yeah, let me, I want to talk about the sex trade or human trafficking and the condition of the Black community. Um, I'm led to talk about this. I was watching on YouTube TEDx Talk. They get these people and talk about different subjects, and many of the people they've experienced what they're talking about. And the last thing I was just watching was about the human trafficking. And a question that is like in my head about how this could happen. Because most of these trading of human lives is about sex. It's not about, um, during the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, which was human trafficking. It doesn't look like that anymore. And I'm really wondering during those days during the transatlantic slave trade, how prevalent was the sex trade in it? But either way, I want to give the what I would call my solution up front in the beginning of this video, and then I want to discuss about the human trafficking / sex trade. Why the need of these mostly men, the need for them to have sex? Why this epidemic of sex? And it dawned on me, these men, primarily men, they may be married, they may have girlfriends, they could be your brother, father, uncle, grandpa, your co-worker, just regular people. But they are going to young female, primarily, young females to have this. Why? And it's interesting because most of the people who are victims in all this are female. And yet the females that are in these guys' life are living with them or in contact. How could we let this happen? It has to stop. Women, the power is in your own hands. You hear these things on the media, and yet a person that you may be living with is seeing a prostitute or a woman that is being human trafficked. And it's only continuing because they're going, these guys. I feel this, if women come together and say enough is enough, better cut it out. And I doubt it's because they couldn't get sex when weekend from their wives or girlfriends. I know of someone I was told the story about this person. This woman is telling me a story about their husband, and they had a child together, and this person would go with their kid. The kid was a toddler, and go along the the strip, the area where they do the prostitution and stuff like that, with the kid to look for a woman. This is I'm just like dumbfounded. And these are people who have jobs. They had a good job, but they had this habit, addiction. They're into pornography, and it feeds into the whole sex addiction. Why is this? I say, women, we have to stick together as women to fight off our abusers, to stop being trafficked. These guys live somewhere, and they usually live with a woman or their mom's auntie, grandma, right? They're living somewhere, but they're abusing you. There's constant abuse against women. And you do have women abusers too. You have women who are in the sex trade who pimp out young girls, women too, and shame on them also. It's like a prison. And it's just dumbfounding to me, this whole thing. So let me now talk about what this TED Talks. I watched several of their programs, and what got me to really start this video was when the person that's talking about the trade, they were mentioning about the nail industry. Now in New York City, where I'm from, a lot of nail salons, a lot, all over. You have the so-called higher end type, and then you got the ones in the so-called, poorer neighborhoods. But I remember once, I usually do my own nails, but this one time I just wanted to go and get my nails done because I really wanted to look good. And what the lady was talking about in the talk, that these nail technicians oftentimes can be in the sex trade also. In the daytime they do the nails, and then they have them out in the evening prostituting. And I'm wondering whether the time when I went to that nail salon, and I didn't really like how she was doing my nails. I meant it just didn't look right. And the girls just started getting frazzled in her head. And there was a male there who worked there. One male nail technician, a manicurist, who was a man. And then he seemed to have an air about him that he was in charge. You had the general, all females, but just him. And then listen to this TED Talks. I said to myself now, watching this, I said, I wonder whether those girls, and then the girl that in particular, maybe she was newer, and so her skills wasn't as good as a manicurist, and she was afraid, and I didn't understand her behavior. And the guy had told her, just sit there and complete the job. Really, really tough on her. It was weird. She had said, no, you do it to the guy. You finish. I was surprised at her behavior. She did finish. It was the first time that type of behavior. I've gone to nail technicians before, but again, I don't go often. But in listening to this TED Talks, I started thinking back on that incident. Was that male tech manicurist? Was he the um, in charge of the stable, so to speak? And those ladies there um, being human trafficked? It's like in New York City, a lot of the nail technicians they're from Asia, and like I think at first they used to be Koreans, and then now they're from Nepal, a big bunch from Nepal, and that's where that particular nail salon, the people were. They're from Nepal. I'm wondering whether they were part of whether they were being human trafficked. And it was a nice looking place. It was nice, looked clean and everything. It seemed like a nice place. But I'm wondering with the guy there. I mean, I've heard of women talk about um, having a nail, having a man do their manicure. And that's supposed to be, they're supposed to be better and this and that, and they take their time and blah, blah, blah. And I said, wow. But I'm wondering, are they in charge and are they there to like police over, watch over the women techs? Are these guys really like pimps or something? It was just weird. Really weird. I also remember like this was yeah, I had just graduated from school and I wanted to treat myself out. I was yeah, this was around 2012. And this was right after Trayvon Martin got killed slash murdered by George Zimmerman. He was a 17-year-old boy, Trayvon Martin, and he was just on his way home from the store, and he was racially profiled by a wannabe security guard of his neighborhood and shot him dead. So I was very aware about black awareness, buying black, right? So I say, I'm tired of all this stuff against us and our poverty. So I'm going to go buy black. So I went into Harlem, that's known for it being a heavily black area, but you have all different groups there now. And I went to 125th Street. That's like a very popular strip there in Harlem. And I said, I want to get an outfit, an African made outfit, African fabric and all that. So I found someone, and guess what happens? I had also gotten my hair done too. Yeah, I wanted the work. I got my hair braided, the long box braids, and I had some color, them accenting it with some bright colors. Um, I was challenged by a young African woman, young girl, late teens, early 20s, and trying to challenge me like one woman against, one woman's femininity against another. And I thought it was like, wow. And I'm wondering now, in hindsight, with all this, whether the people in that district Are they because of competition? I mean, I might be stretching it here. Competition of like a sex thing, and she saw me as as a competitor. I'm almost to be her mother. It's like maybe a 30 year, um, about a 30-year difference. There's no competition, something like that. And I'm in no way want to compete with a child in my eyes. People have a mindset, and if a building and the women that work there are being trafficked, because oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it was mentioned um, on the news that there were uh, women from Africa being tricked to come to the U.S. to braid here, but it's uh, slave trade, slavery. They get the girls and say, hey, hey, you want to make some money in the U.S. braiding here? Hey, sure. Hey, you got a passport? Yeah. We get to the States. Oh, let me just hold your passport for you so you don't lose it. And then they beat up the girl and said, you better do this, blah, blah, blah. It was a male and female. I think there could have been husband and wife. And they were enslaving the girls, had them sleep on the floor, and they had to work all these weird hours. And one of them escaped, and she shared her story. Yeah, they could have had just an honest business doing hair, and the building that I went to have all these African people. So this place, he was a what do you call it? He made clothes, and in other rooms they do here, and it looks like, in my opinion, like something that maybe like these girls might be enslaved. You can't leave these girls, and they're hyper aggressive. How the hair place goes, like you come up the subway stairs, and they usually have the African girls around, and they might say hair braiding, like that. And that one occasion, I went to get my hair done. Again, buying black. Okay, it was a young woman. She could have been in her late 20s, early 30s, and she's as it hair braid. I said yeah. So I followed her, and right when we were going to go through the threshold of the door, another African woman, she looks at me and says, I know her. She's my client. Blah, 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 blah. I said, and then the two African ladies are arguing. I said, this is the first time I've ever been here. I don't know you. And she's just beefing. And we continue on, but the other lady just beefing. I did get my hair done. It was a whole pool of girls, those African ladies, braiding hair. It looked filthy. It wasn't clean. They drop their implements on the floor and they pick it up and use it on your head. It's like there's accountability. Now, I don't know whether those girls are being human trafficked into forced labor, that they have their quota to do in hair braiding, whatever, and they're competing against each other to get money. What I do know, I don't like it, and I may want to buy black, but I don't want to buy slop. I don't want to buy things that are dirty, a dirty establishment. And you look at a lot of women's hair, black women's scalp, and it's all damaged because what's being done to their scalp is unhealthy. So it's a price to pay, you know. You want something nice, you want a good price, but you don't want slavery. You don't want slavery. I don't go. I feel really funny about all this. I wouldn't want to find out that you go in to get your hair done and the person is a slave being trafficked from Africa to braid hair, and like that, like what was on the news was a husband and wife, and they were millionaires. They lived in New Jersey. That's right, they lived in Jersey, this husband and wife, and they had this house, this real dilapidated house they lived in, but they had some place where the girls actually did the hair, and then after they did the work, they had to come back to that place and sleep on the floor. It's horrible. Why are humans mistreating other humans? Here you have an African person, and it could have been a legit business getting your hair done. But why do human beings like to exploit if someone is willing to do an honest day's work? I'm really disgusted. What else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, I showed in another video, a recent video I did it this month, about the uh, human trafficking. That a lot of the women that the show, it was a talk show, and they had these guests that they were all human trafficked. All of them were people of color slash black and Hispanic. Only one of them that they featured was a white female. So again, you have responsibility, people in the black and Hispanic communities, of this maltreatment of your own race. You're exploiting your own. Why are you doing this, people? For money? Yeah, money is the root of all kinds of evil. And I think the monetary system is a new creation. I mean, it's something it's not organic. It's a bondage. And it's what really getting people to do horrendous things upon one another. And I said in a video of mine how to get out of the money matrix. And all throughout YouTube and stuff, people with these schemes, oh, you could make this and that kind of money. No one has ever talked about service and quality of service. It's all about just obtaining this money slash currency slash energy. We're abusing each other for this dollar. And it just has to stop. Yeah. I also start thinking about, okay, why this need for sex? I think that there's things in the unseen world that attach itself upon humanity. They could tap into your energy field. They can make you think things. And they rely on you certain behaviors, such as sex, because sex has an energy. And they rely, it's like they feed off of your energy. When you have sex with someone, there's a lot of energy created. And they zapping your energy. And the more you have sex, the more it's like an addiction. I've met people who told me that they have sex addictions. Why? Why this addiction? I think so. You see, there's things out there in the unseen world that tap on to this physical world. And you have things like the Bible and people telling you in the Bible, don't study. In essence, they're saying don't study metaphysics. So about the things like meditation, we call it metaphysics, tarot card readings, pendulum work, all these metaphysical things to find out what's going on. They don't want you to know what's going on behind the scene. See, I'm gathering that it is the unphysical world that really controls what's going on in the physical, and they want you to get into these addictions, like sex addictions, or let's say drugs. That's another biggie. They want you addicted to keep on keeping on, because I believe it's tapping onto your energy and it's living off of you like a parasite. Look at the people in their minds. Look at the people who do drugs, all those addicts, sex addicts, the prostitutes, or look at them and the way they look. And the play. Remember, I talked about that I had gotten groped about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. But it dawned on me, it was right next to a sex place. They have this Shake Shack, and then right next to it, it's a sex place. Those dances, those we call it exotic dances. Yeah. I think these unseen creatures hang out. Look at the type of people that stand next to those sex places. Look at them. I mean, discreetly. You walking past, just notice. Not staring at them, but just notice what they kind of look like. They look like they're possessed. They look possessed. So I'm really sad about all this stuff, this human trafficking that's possessing our minds and our bodies. And overwhelming the victims are women, or are female, and also children. Who has children but women? I think women, we're underestimating our power. Rather than feeling like, oh, I got to compete against this woman because she got a hair weave, or this nails done. Women, we got to think beyond that. We're not sex objects. We're human beings. Stop treating yourself and stop showing yourself like you're on display for sale. Have respect for your bodies. And respect other women. Women respect women. And people of color, many of these people in this sex trade, many of them are Black and Hispanic women. And just over the weekend, there were more shootings. And I heard that a 1-year-old child got shot while they were at a playground playing. How come we don't hear any of this stuff of Black Lives Matter with this? It totally discredits you when you don't stick up for yourself. You allow people to abuse you in your community. You let every riffraff in your community. But you're just going to focus on one aspect when a cop. Now, I'm not trying to say that that doesn't matter. It does matter too when a cop abuses their power. But you have Black cops too, and they do the same thing. And I witness Black cops abusing their own. I've seen it personally. It's a mindset. When those cops become cops, their minds get warped, many of them, because of the stress of what they see. But it's up to you. If you want a clean neighborhood, start cleaning up your life. Clean up your life. You're living with that guy. Is that guy messing with a young girl? Are they getting prostitute? You have the power in your hand. You better cut it out. Clean up your house. Clean up your community. That guy's selling drugs. Kick him out of your house. Report him to the authorities. It's the people that have the real power, but they use coercion and fear to intimidate us to not speak out. We have to start speaking out. I know it's scary. It's scary for me to see all this stuff in my neighborhood. It's getting worse where I live. It's like walking zombies where I live. I lived here for over 17 years. Let's help one another. At least, pray for our communities. Come on, we can do it. Thank you again for listening. Take care, guys. Signing off.